Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners. This is Comeza Radio Africa, the voice of Comeza. The mind, the journey, the destiny. We apply our mind to the journey that takes us to our destiny. That is our philosophy. It's about a plugged and active mind, sharing mind, futuristic mind, and inquiring mind. The journey is about enthusiastically promoting our ideas, giving as we learn, retaining and investing our learnings, and searching for opportunities at all times. When the destiny is achieved, it's demonstrated by productivity and profitability, social responsibility and caring for each other, growth and sustainability, and guaranteeing renewal and survival. Our philosophy is inspired by the following quote from Mahatma Gandhi, which contains the drivers of our behaviors. I quote, "Your beliefs become your thoughts become your weights become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny." Quote close. We inform and entertain. We develop and educate. We empower and support. We associate and network. That's the idea. We are a business, entrepreneurship, and professional management services 24/7 internet streaming radio station. We broadcast music and talk shows across the world. Our objective is to use the African storytelling and the Lekgotla conversation methodology in offering career coaching, education and learning guidance, continuous professional development, enterprise and entrepreneurship development, and connecting supply to demand. Our talk shows aim to affirm and support business professionals and entrepreneurs in their personal and professional journey of bringing difference to the world. These are talk shows that recognize excellence and greatness. Professionals and entrepreneurs are invited as a recognition of the great contribution they are making to humanity. We have a network of associates, members, and stakeholders who know our quality standards and therefore make recommendations to our production team. The conversations become lifelong account of our guests, their work, and their doings, since they are recorded on Spreaker Studio, distributed on Comeza Africa Podcast, Spreaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Castbox, Deezer, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and many more other platforms to be added. We are building a solid ecosystem of professionals and entrepreneurs who are committed to the empowerment of others, collaboration across sectors, sharing of insights and knowledge, building a base for succession and inheritance, and safeguarding the legacies for generations after us. We have inherited these legacies from our forefathers and mothers, not to waste them, but to pass them on to generations after us. That is our duty and responsibility. The same principles that govern our organization are the principles that govern Comeza Radio Africa, and they are win-win approach, holistic mindset, competency development, demanding accountability, ethical inclusive practice, and progressive transformation. My name is Sam Zima. I am the CEO and Executive Business Coach at Comeza GOC International Pty Limited. I want at this time to welcome our guest, my brother Soli Matheba. Ntate Mathebe re a dumedisha le kae wešo?
Ntate Mathebela re gona le kae?
Aowa re tsogile.
Ee,
Ke sa ga rona seo.
ka nnete.
I'm sure those who are listening to us from across the oceans are getting scared and thinking that we are going to keep on talking our own home language. We just want to say to our brothers and sisters, this is who we are. Eh?
Yes.
Yes.
And that stays with us.
Absolutely. And we are accommodating by talking this Queen's language.
Exactly.
Respecting and considering diversity that the world is made of. Eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you speak English to a point that you forget your own mother language, that becomes a problem.
It is a huge one. It's a huge one.
Yeah.
You're forgetting where you're coming from.
You know?
Yeah.
And that becomes problematic. So, but Mr. Mathebe, how have you been? I hope you are getting used to the new normal.
I am for the first time in my life. Now I'm used to having meetings, virtual meetings. Some years ago I thought I'll never get to that stage.
Yes.
But now it has become a norm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You even dress up for a Zoom meeting.
Yes, like today, I dressed up for this interview.
Absolutely. Some people have a tendency of saying, it's just going to be an audio meeting, they won't see me. They don't dress up and forgetting that you can't lie to yourself. Your body says, no, man. Normally when you go to this type of talks, you put on a tie and dress very well. Back in your mind, you are not in the right mood.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. It's wonderful. Thank you so much for accepting to be our conversation partner. You are a mopedi from Raskukune. I don't have to tell you what the Lekgotla methodology is about.
No, I grew up with that.
You grew up with that.
Yes.
High respect, giving each other space, focusing on issues, taking the leader very serious, and collaborating at all times.
Yes.
Beautiful. I know where you come from, but our listeners don't. I always say, whenever I come to Rangwana, I said, you know what? I don't know whether I should be saying but Rangwana was there before us, so we can't say because your place is one of the most beautiful places. If we had money, Sun City is nothing.
We would relocate them to Rangwana. With all the beautiful mountains and mountainous views, we would relocate anything
there. There is even a place called Moy Lake.
Yes.
Moy Lake.
Yeah. Yes.
Ntate Matheba, will you tell the people who is Ntate Soli Matheba in full, because Soli is a borrowed name, the full names and where were you born, what were you born doing, who are the Mathebas? I will reveal the secret to the listeners later.
Okay.
Who are the Mathebas and let's start there.
Okay. No, thank you, Sam. You are right. Soli is a Gauteng name. If you go to Rangwana and say you're looking for Soli Matheba, you'll be lost for the whole week, if not the whole month.
Yeah.
My full names are Magolane Solomon Matheba.
Yeah.
In Rangwana, they call me Killer. Even now, I can't get rid of that name. If you go there and say you're looking for Killer,
yes,
your chances of getting help will be improved by almost 90%.
Absolutely. So
yes.
It means
Yes. It was, those years, it was like almost every everything that was there to do revolved around us playing soccer.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
so, but nevertheless, yes, I grew up, I was born in a small village in Hangwana called Malogeng.
Yes.
Obviously, for those who don't know, Hangwana is in the Sekhukhune area.
Mm.
So in Malogeng, I was born out of a family of 8. I'm the 5th.
Mm.
I have 2 sisters. I had 2 brothers. They are now all gone. I'm the eldest brother now. I've got a younger sister and a younger brother.
Mm. Mm.
So, yes, and at the village, you grow up to be part of the village. You do everything that the village boys do.
Mm.
You go to the bush, you go to the mountains, you go to the rivers, you play in there. I always say we were very lucky because we played in dangerous waters, but
especially the Olifants River. I'm scared of that river.
Yes, yeah, but when we played in that river, we used to go across to Ampasela to play soccer, come back in the afternoon, cross the river, and it didn't matter whether you can see inside the water or the water was dark brown, but we would cross and we survived. So that's
why, my grandmother used to come from Askukune Jane first, because she comes from that side, as you know. And then she will relate the stories to us how they managed to cross the Olifants River, and it was full. And I said, how deep was it? He said the water was up to the chest.
Yes.
And then she will be explaining. I said, how? Whoa.
Exactly. You use a stick to feel the direction of the water and the depth. So yeah.
How many times have you done that in Mr. Matheba?
Not a lot, but every time you do it, an hour or so after you've done it, you ask yourself, what were I doing? But the next time you had to go and play soccer, you do it again because you are in the team. So if you don't want to do it, how else are you going to get onto the field?
Yeah, sure.
There's no transport.
Yeah.
Even if you're lucky to get a lift, the nearest bridge is far away. You're going to be late for the soccer match.
Mm. Yeah, so, that is commitment, yeah?
Yeah, that is commitment. Yeah.
So now between Kila and Kaiser, my uncle Kaiser, Ellington Matheba, because when he came to Jane first, he was like Jazino coming from Brazil to play for Kaiser Chiefs. So I need to find out between Kila and Kaiser who was the real star in that area.
No, we played more or less the same type of soccer. But remember, he's a bit older than me. So when he came to our village, he didn't play for the same team as me. So we would always be on the
B side.
We would always be opponents. I played for Malogeng, he played for Pelangwe.
Oh, I see.
But we played more or less in the same spaces. He played midfield, I played midfield as well.
Yeah.
So I used to love the so-called number 4, position number 4.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think Kaiser used to play 6.
Central midfield. Yeah, he was a great footballer. I mean, and you know how he walks. Even now, when he walks, it's like he's having boots on. He's going to play.
yes. Yeah.
And then there was a famous Baroka Bangwana hot beans.
Yes, Baroka Bangwana hot beans was next to the chief's area. Remember, Hangwana is quite a big village.
Yes.
So Baroka Bangwana was, if I have to compare, sure.
It was actually the elite team of Hangwana, right?
Yes, it was the elite team, and it was formed by a lot of very good players who used to work in Gauteng.
Yes.
I remember some of those players even used to tell us that they used to play in the same areas as Teenage Data in Springs.
Yes.
A few of them are late now, but they were friends with Teenage Data because they used to work. A few of them used to work for a company in Springs called, I think they call it. I can't remember the name, but it's a paper and pulp company.
Oh yes, I see. I see this. Is it the Pilkington?
No, Pilkington. I think it's that last one.
Yeah.
Sappi. Sappi. Yeah, I think Sappi had a head office in Springs or some big factory in Springs. They used to work there and play soccer together with Botine Stadler and the old Keshekeshe Mkonza as I had. So, but nevertheless, it was a very strong team. It once beat Klapa Yabo in the Sishiro one, Yabo Trotmoloto.
Yes, show Stonebreakers.
Stonebreakers. They once came to Hankwana and they saw daft.
What about Shati? What must figure that company lit Navajo fish?
Yes. Yes, no, they saw daft.
Hot beans.
Yes, yeah.
And then there was the Atok the Brooms at the mines.
The Atok was a super club because remember those years we used to play on ground.
Yeah.
Barefoot. But Atok had a stadium with lawn.
Yeah.
And going there to just watch was like, you've gone overseas, and the mines were still investing lots and lots of money on such activities, cultural activities, sports activities. So the club was well supported. But then, as an employer-based club, it had different players from different areas. There were very strong players from Hamatabata. There were guys from Drinkop, the other side, and Atok was one of the greatest as well. Then there was Matheba Chiefs in Polingwane.
Oh yes, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
So
those were great clubs.
Yes.
It's a pity such great village clubs have just sort of like disappeared.
They have disappeared. And that's one of the social ills that this.
I actually started an exercise of talking to the former village clubs legends, just to bring the memory and capture them, and hopefully they could inspire other people in the future.
Yes, no, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Now, Hankwana and Matheba is a very big area. How many villages make Hankwana as a big village? Malureng is falling under which? I don't know what you call them. The way the kings group their villages, they will put smaller villages under one village. So there is even a place called India next to your place.
Yeah, but India, they've got their own sort of chief. It's not part of Hankwana as such.
Okay.
Yeah, Hankwana starts in the main area where many people just think Hankwana ends there. The area where the chief stays. Where there's now a shopping complex.
Yes.
Then as you go down the mountain, then you'll find Pilangwe, then you come to Malureng, then there's Mudimule, there's Mpaneng, there's Malumanye, there's Maruping, there's Munametsi, there's what's this village called next to Hampusheng? Where there's Fateng, where the Atok mine is.
Yeah.
Then there's this village where most of the mine workers were staying, renting rooms there. Then there's Moilek, then there's Matlabeng. if I'm not mistaken. There might be a few that
and then go na le ga Manotwane ka kwa.
Yeah, Manotwane, they've got their own chief as well. It's not part of Rankwana.
I see.
Manotwane where Haselepe that side, yeah.
Yes.
No, it's not part of Rankwana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And now I see in your area there, Maloreng, is there a school there? Did you go to a primary around the area at your time?
Yes, but remember, in those days, the school would be like the shops. They would always be centrally situated to serve 2 or 3 villages.
Yes.
So there's a school in Pilangwe Primary School, just in front of Kaiser's house.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where I went to school. That's where I did my sub-A.
Yeah.
Under a beautiful tree. Green always, all the time.
and the chalkboard will be against the stem of the tree.
Yes.
With a teacher's desk.
Yeah, and we didn't need a fence to keep us in class. We just had discipline to stay in class. Without a wall, without
and if you
fence.
want to go and have some water, may I please go out?
you ask for permission.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And those years, sub A and sub B would share the class under the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And standard 1 and standard 2 would be, for the first time you go into a classroom, would be in standard 1.
Yes.
But you would share it with standard 2.
That's an upgrade.
Yeah.
You know, I never understood this philosophy. The same thing with me growing up at Muribane. There was a big tree we used to call Musetla. You know, I don't know what means Musetla in English. And then that will be a classroom for sub A and sub B.
Yes.
And then the others will be in the room. Now, but the others who are in the classes are a little bit elder. And I said, why couldn't they actually think of sub A and B, because they are little ones, go inside the class, and those ones, the ones who come into the tree, under the tree.
Yeah. No, I think it was a way of instilling discipline for you to push so that you can get into that classroom by performance.
Hey, man, that was interesting. So, yeah, and Pilango was up to what standard?
Pilangwe was up to standard 5. Pilangwe never had standard 6, even those, because in those years, primary school, some of them even had standard 6. But Pilangwe had standard 5. So most of the people would then, after standard 5, go to another school for standard 6. But then standard 6 was abolished during our era. So the standard 6 certificate then moved to standard 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my first certificate is a standard 5 certificate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you moved to where?
I then moved to Putiklo. Putiklo is not far from my home, so it was about maybe 10 minutes to at the back of the mountain. But Putiklo was also put there in the middle of nowhere so that it could accommodate Maloreng, Pilangwe, India, Mpane, and Mudimolle. So all those villages didn't have secondary schools, as they were called those years, because it only went up to standard 8 before it was upgraded. And it was built by the community. Our parents collected money so that the school could be built. And I went there from Form 1. Can't remember what is Form 1 now. Grade 8. Is it grade 8?
Will that be grade 8?
8, yeah. So, yeah. I went to Putiklo from Form 1 until Form 5, which is metric.
Yes.
Yes.
And tell me, when they decided to put a school at the center to accommodate all these villages, how will they constitute the boarding school committee, as we used to call them then?
I don't think there was any formula or any prescription, but you would find that there's always representatives. I remember during our time, There was always a person from Hamaisela, there was always a person from Paneng, then from Malohem, Pilangwe, and strange enough, there would also be a person not far from the school, because that person then also become a semi-caretaker.
Oh, yes. There's the one that will open the gates and close the gates.
Yes. During weekends, he makes a walk past the school around the fence, just check that everything is intact. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And in those days, moving from primary school to a secondary school was a prestigious thing.
It was, because remember, that's when some of us who grew under very poor circumstances would for the first time get school shoes to wear every single day to school. Because at primary school it didn't matter. Even if you didn't have shoes, you just put on your shorts and...
Actually, at primary you will battle to find somebody wearing shoes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now at secondary school it's shoes, long trouser, wow.
Long trouser for the first time.
Yes, on a daily basis. Yes.
Yeah, it used to be very intimidating, I must tell you, And then when they give you these big books for the first time, that you carry these big bags now.
Yes, and you think, this is going to be tough.
Yeah. And I guess at that time you also stopped going to look after cattle. You are no longer a head boy now.
Yeah, luckily for me, or unfortunately, we didn't have cattle in
your home
household. I think the last two cattle I saw, I was about 4 years when they sold them, because there was nothing else to.
Now, just to take you a little bit back, the name Magolane is a royal name in Rangwana, not so?
It is. So hence, in some instances, it's a surname. But in my case, it's a name. So many people get confused. When I say I'm Magolane Matheba, they think Matheba is a name and Magolane is a surname.
Okay. Yeah.
So in my case, it's a name, yes. And I got it from my father's Rangwani. My father, in English, they would say everyone is uncle.
Yes. But the brother to your father, the younger brother to your father.
No, a younger brother to my father's father.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yeah.
And now your dad and your mom, what are their names? What was their names?
My dad is Paladi, who in some instances also turns out to be a surname.
Yes.
But in case, it's a name.
Yeah.
And my mom is Ramakhatlele, Utwa Sikonya.
Is that so?
Yes, Kimina Kwena.
Wow. I went to school with the Skonya guys, and I knew they came from Rangwana.
Okay.
Yeah, well, Mr. Skonya, we were together at Vets. And I never spoke to them as them being close to my lineage.
Okay.
I need to go and rectify that. Yeah. By the way, the secret that we need to tell listeners, because they will be surprised, why am I so close in interviewing you, is that my grandmother is from Ramateb.
Yes.
So that is basically that lineage, and Rangwana for us is Namol. That's where our mother's mother come from.
Yeah.
So
culturally, I'm your uncle.
Yes. No, absolutely. Yeah. I should be actually respecting you as calling you uncle. That's why when I meet Kaisa, I always say uncle.
Yes.
And then you say Mtlol.
Yes. Yeah.
And it has been always like that.
Yeah.
Which is something that also we are saying that why it's important not to lose our identity and our culture and tradition is those things have a stronger meaning because they explain who you are in relation to each other.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So then, how did we perform in high school at what is the name again? At
Putiklo.
Putiklo.
And Putiklo, the meaning was exactly that. Remember, I said India is not part of Hangwana.
Yes.
But because the school had to service learners from India as well,
Yes.
they thought, okay, Hangwana ke ba roka ba bina Pute.
Yes.
India ba bina Tlou. So then they combined the two to say, okay, the school should be named Putiklo because it's accommodating
Yes.
both lands.
And I can't imagine that India has always been India, because India is India as we call it India. How did it become known as India?
I don't know, because we grew up knowing it as Hamaisela.
Yes.
But it's also India, so you can use India or Hamaisela interchangeably as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
I still don't know which one is more proper than the other. But yes,
my grandmother has never called it India. She always said Ramaisel.
Okay.
So Ramaisel.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you know there's many Maiselas here in the south that
Yes.
always say, I need to talk to these people, because there's only one Ramaisela, and that's Rangwana.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting stuff.
But
And then
to go back to the question, performance. No, at school, I think performance was great. It's just that we were so unlucky. We were the first matriculants at Putiklo, because remember I said it was a secondary school up to standard, up to Form 3. So then they upgraded it. We were the first Form 4 learners, then we were the first matric learners. But when we wrote matric, our scripts got lost.
wow.
So we were marked out of a few subjects because they couldn't find the other scripts.
Sure.
And we all failed, I think, except for one learner.
Because the inspectors used to come just about when you were about to finish to collect the papers, didn't they come?
That's how they got lost. Yeah, it's not actually the inspector, it's sort of a messenger from the inspector's office. But yes, under the auspices of the inspector. But that's how they got lost, as we understood.
So you had to repeat?
Before we had to repeat, we were allowed to write supplementary exams because we qualified for supplementary exams with the results of the other subjects that were marked.
I see.
Then the supplementary exam scripts for the whole Sekhukhune area got lost.
My goodness. Sure. That sounds like it was intentional, man.
It gave me an impression that it was intentional. I got so annoyed that I decided, no, I'm not going to repeat. I'm going to make another plan because it looks like this is man-made.
Yeah.
So some learners decided to repeat. I said, I remember my mother saying I should go back to school. I said, I don't do once and twice. So I'm not going back to class. And so I came to Pretoria to join my brothers. And I decided to write part-time. But those years, the system was still efficient because I only had to write what I did not have. All the subjects that I had, I didn't have to repeat them.
The Department of Education could produce the evidence.
Yes. So I wrote only the subjects that I didn't have, and I passed, and I got a certificate. I don't know
but you were working already then?
Yes. Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So what did you come to do in Pretoria?
No, remember those years, you just followed your brothers and homeboys. They all came to Pretoria, so yeah, let me also go to Pretoria. But I think it was also due to the realization that even if I go back to school and pass, there's not even a single cent to take me to tertiary
I
education.
see. So it was clear for you that you will not afford.
Yes.
But you never thought that maybe you should apply for bursaries.
No, I thought the best is, even if I apply for bursaries, if I start working, then my strategy is two-pronged. Once I pass and apply for a bursary and I don't get it, at least I would have saved a little bit to start doing something with my own money.
Wow.
But if I go back, pass, don't get a bursary, then it might be another year gone to waste. So remember, as the first one in the family to push up to that level, you also feel the pressure of your younger siblings coming through. So you think by the time they are at a certain level, I must be able to cater for them. So you're working against time.
Yes, absolutely. Let me take you back home before we proceed. So you said you lost your brother, your two brothers.
Yes.
Was it by illness or was it by accident or what happened?
No, it was by illness, but it's now recently. It's now the one that I came after passed away in 2006, and the elder one, the second born in the family, passed away in 2014.
I see.
So, but in early in my years, I almost lost my brother. I remember, I think I was in standard 2. My brother was a truck driver in the army in Polokwane.
Yes.
And he was in an accident with the army truck, and he broke a leg and had to be amputated and put at home because he could no longer drive.
Sure.
But luckily he didn't die in that accident.
Yeah. And the father and the mother, are they still?
No. My father ultimately passed away in 1982. I think I was in Form 4 in 1982. And my mother passed away in 2011.
I see.
Yeah.
So you're basically the head of the homestead then?
Yes, except for, luckily I still have the two older sisters.
Yeah, okay.
But but in the men's side, I'm the elder.
Exactly. They have left you all the challenges of the village, of the homestead.
Yes.
Beautiful. And so now you are in Pretoria, and where do you find a peace job?
Sure. I come to Pretoria, and the first thing that my brother tells me is, you know what, I would have loved to have had money and take you to university, but unfortunately I can't. But please, do one thing. Don't come here and be like us. Life here for someone who's not educated is not nice. And he says to me, my brother also took a driver's license many years ago.
Yeah.
Those years when you had to travel for a driver's license. I remember he was in Pretoria, but apparently he went to spend 3 months in Rustenburg for a driver's license. And he says to me, you see, I had to do this driver's license because to just work without anything that you rely on is so useless. So if you can, do something for yourself. And that then told me, okay, then I was right to come here and start doing something for myself. So then I got a piece job in I think it was 1984. I got a piece job and started working at a construction company doing electrician, assisting the qualified electricians, and getting, I think the first pay was 45 rands a week.
Sure.
And had to make do with that.
Yeah, but you were staying in the same place as with your brother. They had a place to stay.
Yes, so I didn't have to pay for
accommodation.
rental. luckily, yes. But then remember, those were the days of the so-called Section 10.
Yes.
That did not allow us from the homeland, as they were called, to be in Gauteng. And so even the so-called peace job, you would get it only where they don't worry about having a Section 10 or not. That's why construction was the easiest option.
I see.
Yeah.
And so then where is the education then as you are doing the peace job?
As I'm doing the peace job now, remember my matric issue is sorted. I've got a matric certificate. I'm the only person with matric on the site. And I realized, no, I don't belong here. But that then adds to the motivation. So then in 1985, if I'm not mistaken, it's a long time ago. Yeah, I think 1985, I take a chance and register with UNISA. I go to UNISA to apply for admission. I don't even know how do you complete the forms, but I go there, complete the forms, and guess what? The forms want you to choose something, a degree that you want to register for.
Wow.
And except for just a normal BA, I don't know of anything, but then I also ask myself, what is a normal BA? And I've said to myself, I don't see myself being a teacher. I don't think I'll enjoy teaching. So what do? I skip that line that says degree. I go to the modules.
Yeah.
I come across something with an interesting name called psychology. I think to myself, that sounds nice. So let me take this one anyway.
You don't even know what it is.
No. But I just feel psychology, no. and I can rest assured because I didn't do math. I only did math up to Form 3.
Yes.
I can satisfy myself that it doesn't have math. It's not a science subject. So I'll be able to read and understand it. And by the way, I need to do just one module because it's my first year. I'm still working in the construction company. So,
Sure.
And I register for a module in psychology. And those years, they were still year modules.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were given a pack.
Yes, on the same day.
Yeah. And when you opened it, what did you?
When I open it, I come across the name of the book that I must buy. I go to Fansky to buy that book. That book is over 1,000 pages. And I say, oh my God.
It's big.
It's big.
Yeah.
It's called Men in Context. I'll never forget it.
Men in Context. That's when gender equality was not yet issue. Everything was men.
Yes. Then I start reading the book. But then I realized there's an assignment to be submitted. Before I could even finish a few chapters, I realized, but this assignment is almost due. Let me rather leave the chapters and just go to the assignment and focus on the questions in the assignment. Look for answers. I submit the assignment, I pass the assignment, but guess what? I still realized that I'm not going to be able to finish this book. What's happening with this UNISA?
Yeah.
And one of...
the study aid doesn't give you some summaries of some sort.
No, I've got those things, but I put them aside. No one told me you must read those things first.
Yeah.
I bought a book, and the book is expensive, so I mustn't waste money. I must study and pass.
Yeah.
By the time I decide to go back to the study guide, I then realized I don't have to read the whole book. I don't have to study the whole book. I've wasted so much time. I've read so many chapters that are not part of the syllabus.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, that is so common. I mean, I always say that if there's one thing that Bantu education was horrible with, was there was never a module or a subject called how to learn or how to study.
No.
It's like riding a bicycle without actually being told the theory of riding a bicycle.
Yes.
And you fall, and then later you figure out, no, man, there must be a better.
The chain is loose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But the beauty is I passed. I passed all the assignments. I passed the module. I think I got 64% in the exam, and I thought, oh no, there's hope.
Yeah. And you qualified for exams. You qualified for exam, and then you went to write the exam, and you passed.
Yes.
Where is that textbook now? Do you still have it?
It's still at home. It's at Malore. I'll never throw it away, that one.
And I'm sure right now when you read it, you must be discovering things that you didn't really understand then.
Yes, no, luckily I still have a lot of my psychology books. So whenever I have time, I do open them. But that one is was the foundation. So
tell me, if you think of those days and you think of now, don't you sometimes get disappointed to find that we still have students that have to go through this transitional battle from high school to tertiary, irrespective of what type of a tertiary it is? More or less, 4 out of 5 people, they will tell you that they were not quite sure what they were doing. Even today.
Yes. No, it's so disappointing. That's why I think when we get along with this interview, you'll find out about my involvement with young people at my village.
Yes.
Because it's actually shocking that I'm talking 1985 when I came across that. We are now in 2020. It's still happening. It's still happening.
Yeah, no, it's quite really.
And more so, maybe in the urban areas it's much better, but the rural village child who grew up where I grew up, who doesn't even have an uncle or a brother or a cousin in Gauteng, in the urban area, whom he can visit and start reading this and that, is still there on his or her own.
You're mentioning something that I also want to highlight to the listeners, so that we need to do something especially for that. If you look at people that actually ended up coming to places like the South and then got exposed to better prospects, you will find that it's either their father was working in the South and had a house in the township, or was living in a hostel, or somehow, or is a brother who was living this side. So they had to come. And because it's tough to be accommodated in Gauteng, or just to come without any relative.
Yes.
And now the question is, it's almost like in football. If you didn't come to the South, you will never play for Bafana, because nobody will see you.
No.
Of course, the situation has changed now. But the situation when it comes to people not being, if you don't have relatives, you are stuck in the village and you literally get rotten in the village.
Yes. If I didn't come to Pretoria then, I would, believe you me, I wouldn't even hear of UNISA. Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit of the imbalances of our situations, but I like the idea. We'll come to that point where, we have challenged quite a lot of guests to this platform to say, are you doing something with your village back home?
Yeah.
Because there is a gap there that can be filled by somebody like you. You understand exactly the conditions.
Yes.
Yes. And you should not expect to be paid for it. It's a service. It's a service for good cause. Yeah, beautiful. Matheba, let's hold it there. When we come back, I'm going to talk a little bit less, because the first part is always, I love it because I always want to dig out so that we don't lose our things. But then when we come back, you're going to take us through your journey from the moment you registered for that strange course called psychology, which apart apparently shaped your career today. So I always, such situation, I always say that people meet their guardian angels and they take decisions that define who they become.
So true.
Yes, and then the rest is history. We'll be back.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll be back.
Okay.